Sniping as we knew it in Verdansk is going to be a lot different in Caldera on the new Warzone Pacific. The Vanguard snipers have some huge differences that you need to know if you're the sniper of your squad. Now on the release day of Warzone Pacific, I used the Vanguard Kar pretty much all day. I had a lot of good plays with it. I really enjoyed using it, but you will right off the bat notice some huge differences. The first thing you'll notice is the aim down sight speed. It aims down a lot slower. Even trying to make it a pretty fast ADS build, it is much heavier feeling compared to the MW Kar or like the Swiss, which were two of the most dominant snipers previously. Now, I'm not saying that quick scoping is out of the question. I did hit a handful of kind of relatively okay quick scopes, but it's definitely a lot harder to do in Vanguard as of right now. The next biggest difference is Flinch. If you're unfamiliar with Flinch, it basically just means if you're scoped in aiming at someone, if you get shot, your guy's gonna jerk up quite a bit and you're gonna kind of lose, you're gonna move off of where you were aiming at. So you gotta be very careful when you're peeking. You can't just be super aggressive like you could previously with the MW Kar or Swiss, because those two had next to no flinch. If you start getting shot at, you need to kind of basically get back into cover and reset the fight. It's very hard to try to shoot through that flinch with the Vanguard snipers. Now, something else that they changed, which I thought was interesting, and I'm not sure why they did this, was the default reticle scope is white instead of black like it was in Vanguard multiplayer. Now, it's a very clean reticle. It's just a straight like cross. We'll have to see if the custom reticles are any good. They seem to be bugged right now. The challenges aren't displaying how do we even unlock them. You may or may not like this. I overall enjoyed it. My only dislike about it was if I was aiming at like the sky, which was a very bright background, it was a little bit hard to differentiate between the reticle and what I was aiming at. Next, bullet velocity does seem to be a little bit slower compared to our previous snipers. I don't think it's a massive amount, and I'll have to wait and see for people like True Game Data or JGod to run these numbers. But I did notice I was having to lead my shots a little bit more and also aim up a little bit higher at long range to compensate for that bullet drop. Now, like I said, I was using the Kar98 all day. I'd be curious to see what it feels like with the 3-line. The 3-line, I think, is going to be kind of like that HDR or ZRG or Tundra of that higher bullet velocity, kind of longer range type sniper. Now, another thing to consider is going to be accuracy or bloom. So they added bloom to Vanguard, and it does seem to be present in Warzone as well. Basically, what bloom is all it means is your bullet may not go where you're actually aiming at. I go up to the right, to the left, down to the left, down to the right, etc. But that has to do with the accuracy stat. So you'll see on a lot of the different attachments, there is a stat that says accuracy. The higher that is, the less bloom you'll have. Now, I don't know if it's going to be like you just have so much accuracy that you're good and you have no bloom, or if you're always going to have just a little bit. So there were a few times that I felt like, man, I really feel like I was aimed right at him. Where did my bullet miss? And maybe it's because I'm not used to the bullet lead or something like that, or maybe it's because of bloom and the bullet not going where I was actually aiming. Now, you might be thinking, after I just kind of covered all those big differences, that why would I snipe in Caldera? It sounds terrible. And overall, yes, these differences are very noticeable, but I still was playing great. I think on my first day, I averaged like a 3 KD. And when I went and looked through all my lobbies, my lowest average KD lobby I had was a 1.3. So even in sweaty lobbies, I was still playing well with snipers. The other thing is the Vanguard ARs, they don't seem to have crazy damage at range. It seems like their damage range really falls off. And especially on the way that Caldera is designed, it's a huge map, tons of elevation, tons of really good like kind of sniper spots, like sniper lookouts, I guess. I really think snipers are still going to have a huge part of this game, and if that's kind of what your main thing was in Verdansk or whatever, absolutely sniping is still going to have a place here in Caldera. Now, something else to consider though is when they introduce all of the guns back in. So right now, as I'm making this video, the Vanguard Royale is available, solos, duos, trios, quads. But to play Battle Royale, which has all of the modes, you can only do that in quads. So I don't know if they're going to continue to favor this Vanguard only mode, or if they're going to get back to a point where all of the guns are available in all of the playlists. But one thing they did mention was they said they're going to be doing a big weapon tuning balance pass or patch, where they're going to be addressing all 3 types of guns. So Modern Warfare, Cold War, and Vanguard. Now, my guess is at the end of the day, once they do this, the Vanguard weapons will end up being the meta, the best types of weapons. Because, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it is a business for them. They need to sell those blueprints. Why would people be that interested in buying those blueprints if they're not the best guns in the game? The same thing happened with the Cold War integration. When Cold War is integrated, at first it was really a wonky integration, but after like a month or 2, when they finally got everything together, all the Cold War guns were by far the best guns, and the Modern Warfare guns, for the most part, all got phased out. They were still viable and decent, but the Cold War guns had an edge. So I think that's what we're going to end up seeing here in Vanguard. So if you haven't leveled up these guns, I would say it's probably still worth your time. I'd be very surprised at the end of the day if the Vanguard snipers aren't or don't end up being the best snipers in the game. Now, I know you guys are interested probably in the build I was using. Maybe you've been tweaking around yourself and trying to figure out what the best is for you. So the way I built this Kar98 was trying to maximize bullet velocity, but also still be pretty mobile and have good aim down sight speed, because I usually tend to play relatively aggressive and am constantly on the move. So I went with the SD silencer. There's 2 silencers. There's the Scout and the SD. The SD does hurt your aim down sight speed, but the Scout hurts your damage range. So I was assuming that that meant it would hurt your bullet velocity. I don't know exactly, because typically snipers don't actually have a damage range drop off. At least they didn't previously. So we'll have to see. I'm going to let the True Game Data and JGod run these numbers before I get too into it. But I was sticking with the SD silencer. For the barrel, I was using this first one, the 660, because it helps with accuracy, flinch resistant, things like that. The other one I think to consider though is this third one, the REO2K, because it does help bullet velocity, larger one hit kill area, but it hurts your aim down sight speed. So I have a feeling that this one's going to make things just, you know, a heavier type sniper, but I'm definitely going to end up trying this one and see if I end up liking that one better. For the underbarrel, I was really unsure on what to use here. I think the Strife angled is a good option. I used that for a bit. I think the heavy foregrip, because it had no cons, wouldn't be bad because it helps with aiming stability. Possibly the hand stop, because it helps with accuracy. So again, we'll have to see how the accuracy stat plays out and see how much it affects the bloom. Now, I was not using a magazine because, for example, these ones, it hurts the damage. These ones hurt the damage, and these ones just you reload faster, but it's only 3 rounds. So I did not find any of those worth using. I was using the lengthened ammo. I think this is going to be one of the go-to ammo perks or attachments for almost all the guns, is helping that bullet velocity, especially on snipers. Rear grip did the leather grip, which did help with your aim down sight speed. I stuck with the default sniper scope. One thing I am very interested in seeing though is which ones have glint and which ones don't. So I don't think this 3.5 one has one, which could be very good. The other one that I'm very interested in is the 3 to 6. If this one doesn't have glint, this could be crazy. But if it works previously, usually anything over 3.5 had glint. So we'll just have to see. This one could be really, really good though. For the stock, I was messing around with these 2. I used this Reisdorf wire for a bit because it helped with movement speed, and it hurts recoil, but recoil is really not important on a sniper. But I think this thumb hole one might be the move because it helps stability and flinch resistance, which, like I said, the flinch is pretty bad, so you want to try to minimize that. It does hurt your movement speed, but might be worthwhile still. And then this shrouded perk is very interesting. It conceals your glint, basically. It says reduces the angle at which enemies will see glint from sniper scopes and increases the time before the glint appears. So I think basically you can zoom in, and maybe for the first second or so, they're not going to see your glint. And also they're only going to see your glint if they're looking right at you. So that could be really strong and really useful. And that would be kind of a pro above like the MW car or the Swiss. Might have to kind of look into some of using some of those other ones as well though. And then I use deep breath, which lets you hold your breath longer, which I think is pretty useful. Fully loaded would be another good option as well though. I didn't think for the most any of these other ones were really that useful though. Now I am going to be covering the best sniper supports here soon, and I'm going to be going over the 3-line and the Type 99. I want to compare those and see how those kind of stack up and feel against Kar98. And I'll probably end up doing a comparison video at the end where I compare all 3 snipers and kind of let you guys know, hey, if you're this type of player, it's best here, you know, this one, use this, etc. Things like that. So if you guys like the video, please make sure you like the video. Let me know what other videos you want to see. I'm going to be doing a whole lot here over the next few days. And if you want to see more of stuff like this, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.